Friendship, 2024. I only came across this film when a friend mentioned that it was on at Picture House, Finsbury Park, and so had a quick watch of the trailer, and it looked intriguing. It's a black comedy, so arranged to meet my friend. We went there, and it's not quite comedy horror, but it is intense. It's almost a psychological thriller. Maybe it is in some respects, but oh wow, it is quite a ride, I'd say. It stars Tim Robinson as the protagonist, Craig Waterman. It stars Kate Mara as Tammy Waterman, his wife. It stars Paul Rudd, who also executive produced it, I think. He's Austin Carmichael, a neighbor, and there's like Jack Dylan Grazer, who's Stephen, who is his son, and Josh Sakara, who's Devon, a friend, well, certainly a friend of Tammy, I think, um, and a few other characters. But yeah, so it's off the wall. I guess so. Explain it. Craig is a family man, perhaps about 40 years old, I'd estimate, middle-aged, young middle-aged. He's got a wife and teenage son, and he works as a marketing exec. Everything seems quite normal. And they plan to move home, but um, the postie keeps making delivery errors, and something arrives at the house, and he has to take it to his neighbor just a few doors up. And this is Austin's place. Austin um, lives there with his wife. And Craig introduces himself. Austin seems uh, affable, very friendly, congenial. Um, and he actually contacts Tammy and says, would Craig like to come up that evening for a little drink or a social of some sort? And um, Craig isn't. He's kind of introverted. He's like one of those husbands who has become very introverted and just spends all his time at home with his wife and his son, or doing nothing much else, it seems. And he says, "Oh, but you don't know my schedule," he tells um, Tammy, and she says, "But all you do all evening is veg out on the sofa. So yeah, go and do something different. Make a friend, make a buddy," as she puts it. So he does. He goes up and he meets Austin and his friends, and it's like a group of guys, and they seem to get along. And uh, Craig seems kind of impressed because the sort of male bonding that he's avoided, um, and he seems to like it. So Craig also invites him to go on a little evening trip, just the two of them, and they explore the city's sewers. And it's like the town of Clovis. And I looked up the town. Clovis is in California, but this is it's filmed in Westchester, and it is certainly a part of the US with a climate where there's snowy winters. So it's a fictitious Clovis, not the one in California. So it could be New England, somewhere like that, anyway, northeast. Um, this sewer system, they explore it. Um, Craig's reticent to start with, but he goes along. You think, This is bonkers. This is like he's going down." He says, "Come on, quick before the cops arrive." It's like, that would be a red flag, surely. But it goes in. They emerge into the city hall in Clovis and go up and check out the view, and they think they've done something amazing. And then they go on another trip that Austin impresses Craig with, which is foraging in a forest for mushrooms that they can eat. And Craig, his contribution to the friendship seems to be offering. Austin is like works as a weather presenter. He does the evening television thing. That's where Craig had seen him. And Craig gives a little bit of advice on asking whether he can do the morning shift because that's what he wants to do. And Austin does that, and he actually gets the morning shift, and it's like more pressurized, but he loves it. And um, Craig's impressed by all this, like good friendship. He's met a whole pile of other guys, another, pile of bros, and they're male bonding. And everything seems hunky dory. Um, and there's gosh, I mean, it does show a lot about Craig's learning curve. It's like he's missed out. He's perhaps introverted, missed out on some of the aspects of things. And I was thinking, is this going to go down the like manosphere route? I've seen a film on that, and there's a lot of coverage of this toxic masculinity, scary stuff. I was wondering if it was going to get really, really grim in that sense, but fortunately, it doesn't. It's kind of unhinged in a different way. And let's try and explain that without spoiling the film. So, Tammy works in the flower business. She's self-employed, or she runs a small home business. She's a cancer survivor as well. And the opening scene, she's in a group with Craig, and she talks about having survived and how she feels vulnerable because she worries that the cancer will come back. And Craig's there quite, you know, a bit um, brazenly reassuring, not really. I don't think he empathizes or connects very well. And he said, it's not going to happen. That sort of glib way, I think. Um, and you can tell a lot of how he thinks is very male centered. It's very much his upbringing. It's like a lot of guys are brought up to look at life very much centered on themselves. And that is one of the problems with upbringing for boys, and society as a whole, patriarchy, simply because um, it isn't true of everyone, but there's a lot where there isn't the empathy. And it's like one example from very early on is where um, Tammy says something about not having an orgasm, and since her her what do you call it? Not cure, the thing, where the cancer goes away for a while. I've forgotten the word, but there's a recess from the cancer, something like that. And she hasn't had an orgasm, and um, Craig says, "Oh, don't worry, I have." It's just like, well, that's not the point, is it? I mean, because this is a session for Tammy, and she's the one recovering from cancer, and he's gone there to support her, but he's looking at it from his point of view. So that's a very clear example of where things are, you know, going slightly disastrous, I think. And it really shows early on why. Tammy's got the patience of a saint. She's still with him. I mean, there's a whole pile of things that happen afterwards, and I'm not going to say all of what. Well, I won't. I'll say some of what happens, but I won't say which characters it happens to. So, and not in order, but there's a break into a home. There's the finding of a gun. There's someone goes missing. There's a spell in a prison cell. There's a couple of awkward situations with a toupee or hairpiece. All these things happen in this film. The the situation with the caving, I'll explain that. Um, Craig wants to impress his family, so he takes his son on a foraging mushroom foraging expedition, just like Austin did with him. And he picks up some mushrooms, and he says, "Oh, look, we can eat these. Free food in the forest." And Stephen, his son, goes, "I'm not eating that. How do I know that that's not poisonous?" And Craig goes, "Oh yes, of course, yeah, trust me, I can, I'll eat it." And he eats it. And then a little while later, he's like, oh, feeling really ill, stomachache. He's gone to a shopping centre. Um, Soon after, he's thrown up. It's just like, gosh, it's just like he's like missing quite a lot on the learning curve, and it is. This film reminds me a bit of the integrity of Joseph Chambers, which I watched a couple of years ago. And it is that sort of um, overconfidence that some men in particular seem to have. They think they can be survivalists, like foraging. They think they can do more than they actually can. I mean, it takes someone to that sewer system. Um, there's a whole pile of things that happen, and the tension really ramps up because you think lives are at stake. It gets really scary, and the whole thing. Tammy, I said, as I said, she's got so much patience and allowance, makes so much allowance for him, um, and it feels like he is so centered, so narcissistic. He wants a posh car, she wants a van. Um, he controls the money. He obviously earns more, and he won't buy her a van which she needs for her business. And it's just like, um, I don't know. It's just, I mean, there's some real cringe scenes whilst the tension builds up. Uh, oh yeah, there's a punk rock gig, and he buys some drums, and it's just like, and um, whether the friendship ends, whether you think there's a lot that's at stake. Another film I thought a bit, there's some slight similarities, is Sharp Corner, except I think the protagonist in that has more empathy. I think miles more empathy. Ah, um, and one of the quotes is, "I'm at the edge of life and the view is beautiful." But you can see from the trailer that there's a nightmare element. You know, the friendship, again from the trailer, Austin suggests ending the friendship, and you can tell why, because the way things are going. The acting is absolutely, uh, I don't know all of the characters, but I thought it was great. I loved it. I just thought it was such a romp of a film. Uh, a real I mean, the audience were laughing a lot more than my friend and I were, but, I got a lot of the humour. It's just that quite a lot of the time I was going, "Eesh, I don't really why does someone make a choice like that?" And I was thinking it's almost like a certain type of person and the kind of politics they choose, the choices they make, and I'm not gonna go into that now, but, because I don't wanna make this political, but you might guess if you've seen enough of my reviews. So, I'm gonna score this 9 out of 10. I'd love to see it again, and I look forward to seeing it when it comes out on streaming. I'm so glad I got to see it today, and, I'll be checking with my friend what she thinks, but I'd love to know what you think if you've seen it, and, um, don't know if I think there were many flaws. I mean, as far as, these sorts of black comedies go, I think it was amongst the best. I mean, it's centered on um, a man and all his flaws, and there's no LGBTQIA plus. There's other forms of diversity, but not many. Not it's missing quite a bit of possible um, diverse groups, but that's life. I mean, in a way, people do tend to like gravitate. People do tend to. Men often pick other men for friends. There's a sort of scene later on, a sort of welcome back party, and there was quite a gathering and more mixed people supporting each other, and there was uh, a lot of anger towards one particular character without saying anything more. So anyway, let me know what you think. Please hit the like if you like this review. Thanks if you subscribe. Hit the notification button, and hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.